Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here. We continue our previews of every single football game involving SEC teams this season. Today we get to Charlotte visiting South Carolina. Over under on that 164.5. The Gamecocks are 23-point favorites. That game can be seen on ESPNU, kickoff at 7:30 Eastern. Blake, the Gamecocks last week, disappointing performance against Georgia at home. Thought that maybe Carolina could be a little more competitive than that, but that's what Georgia does. Carolina off a 1-2 start, although probably has played the toughest slate of games in the league so far. And then we get to Charlotte, which was in that conversation last week for maybe worst team in the FCS. Just that defense had been abysmal in those first three games for the 49ers. Last week, Charlotte upsets Georgia State by a point. A Georgia State team that we thought could give Carolina a run in the opener and might have if it weren't for some special team scores. Better team didn't win that one, I don't think, last week. But what Charlotte did is apparently found a quarterback because Chris Reynolds got the start, threw for 401 yards. They scored 42 points and pulled the upset. So two teams that went in opposite directions last week, all the quality of competition can't really be compared in who each faced.
So you may have figured out your quarterback situation, but you're still giving up 40-plus points in every single game this season, even if you won
And by
that
the
one.
way, those games to FAU, William and Mary, Maryland, and Georgia State, that's not the cream of the crop offenses.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can put up some points. That's fine, but you got to play some defense. And right now, they've certainly struggled defensively, giving up 41 points or more in every single game this season. And now, you take on a South Carolina team that, although last week, I think you take away some things from that in terms of the SEC perspective, but I think South Carolina still has a capable offense. Just not a lot of teams are going to have a capable offense against Georgia. Even good offensive teams, I think, are going to struggle against that defense. So I think South Carolina puts up some points here, and I think that again, it's hard to know still exactly what to make of South Carolina. I think we kind of grouped them in with those teams that, that they did some good things at Arkansas. I don't think we should just completely forget that based on what happened last week against Georgia. And I think there are some things they can still build on, but um, I still look at it though that to me, I feel like this is one of those where maybe this is the game that the South Carolina offense has been waiting on because now
Yeah.
they can finally get out there and build some sort of confidence in these next couple games. They got Charlotte, they play South Carolina State, and then they got that trip to Kentucky. So I feel like this is one that is a really good spot for South Carolina to put Spencer Rattler out there, get this offense kind of flowing a little bit, build some rhythm, especially coming off of what happened last week against Georgia.
Well, Blake, if you can't build confidence against Charlotte, who can you build it against on offense?
Yeah.
Totals that they have given up in total offense. FAU 482 and 43 points. 559 and 41 against William and Mary. 617 and 56 against Maryland. And 41 and 602 against Georgia State.
So, what else do you say? Like all you have to do is look at the point totals there, and there's no deception. I don't think when it comes to looking at those numbers and kind of realizing that the defense is not where they want them to be. And I think now you come into a South Carolina team that, quite frankly, probably a little angry given how things played out against Georgia. Would have liked to certainly played much better, but that just did not happen. So I feel like you said, is based on everything we've seen to this point. I think it's a pretty nice setup for South Carolina to really build some sort of confidence offensively after just having it, shattered last week against Georgia. But we're talking about opposite ends of the spectrum when you talk about defensive prowess at this point. And I think, just look at the yardage, look at the points that Charlotte has given up, and you better believe that Shane Beamer will want his offense to take advantage of every opportunity in this game because they will certainly be aplenty, I believe.
Before we discuss the Charlotte offense versus Carolina defense side, we have some big games coming up this week. To add a little extra excitement to your watching slate, we at Southeastern 14 are going to be making some predictions in the Stakes app. That is STAKES. We'll hear from you guys if you agree or disagree with our takes. So go to playwithstakes.com/14. Put your predictions on our questions. If you use the invite code Southeastern14 when you sign up, you'll get a double welcome bonus. Always free. No cost to bet. No cost for anything. You play for free. You can win NFTs. You can beat our brains in, gloat about your picks, whatever you want. We just want you to use the app, and we think you'll like it once you do. A lot more in there besides just college football, too. Okay, Blake. Question to me, the more interesting side is what Carolina does defensively against Charlotte. Charlotte's been putting up a lot of points. Charlotte has also been getting its brains beat in, which yields itself to facing third-team defenses and stuff like that. But the change at quarterback a week ago, how does that impact things? I don't know. I've not seen them play. What stands out to you about this side of the ball, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those where I think on South Carolina, like defensively, I mean, you would expect again, we talk about some of these games, like I feel like it's Charlotte's going to try to throw the ball. I don't think there's any question about that, and may be where they just have to out of necessity of how this game plays out. But I think South Carolina's defense thus far. Again, how much do we read into the Georgia game, right? It's just Georgia's just been clicking offensively, defensively. Arkansas is a tough team to defend. They give up 48 to Georgia. They give up 44 to Arkansas. It's kind of somewhat similar to the offense in that I just still don't know exactly what to make of the South Carolina defense. But so maybe, given that, maybe there is kind of a situation where if you're looking at the numbers here and the over, you're like, all right, there's going to be some points because maybe South Carolina gives up some points based on the Charlotte offensively. So I'll be honest with you, Chris. Like South Carolina's on that short list of teams that I don't have a great feel for. Even though we saw last week against Georgia, I thought they did some big things against Arkansas, just couldn't win it. And week one against Georgia State, we thought would be a tough game. They still won. We won it by 3 touchdowns. So I still think just the overall skill positions for South Carolina on defense. I still think they'll be able to exploit some things, from Charlotte's offense in this game. So
I don't know if Cam Smith's playing this one or not. I think he was out last week. That might be something to check. Here's another thing. Carolina's only had 2 sacks so far. Charlotte's going to throw the ball a lot.
I was going to say, you consider the offensive lines they've gone up against in Georgia and Arkansas too. I think that's that's probably been one of the issues. So yeah,
but look, I've been wrong about South Carolina 3 straight weeks. So I'm certainly not going to plant a flag with a strong opinion on this one. If you look, the implied final is, what is it, 44-21 if you take the over-under and the spread. I mean, I feel like Carolina will probably score 44. What it gives up, I don't know. I don't have a good feeling on this one any way you slice it. I mean, yes, Carolina is going to win the game, I believe.
Yeah,
but
I
in terms of spreads, in terms of over-under, especially with the change of quarterback for Charlotte last week, and they beat a pretty decent Georgia State team. I think that's probably a fluke. Just I don't have any read, and it's been this way for 2 seasons, right? Just when we threw dirt on South Carolina last year, last 4 or 5 games of the season, they flip a script, win some games, go to a bowl. I don't even begin to know what to tell you other than I like Carolina to win straight up, and that's it.
Yeah, I think South Carolina hit some big passing plays. They missed some of those against teams like Arkansas. I think they hit some of those in this game, just given what we've seen from Charlotte's defense. I think South Carolina puts up a lot of points here. I don't love any bet in this game whatsoever. The only one I would even consider probably would be the over. I think South Carolina could give up some points. I think they'll score a lot of points. So maybe that's your best call, but I don't love anything about this game other than South Carolina being able to do some things offensively that really challenges Charlotte.
Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.